Hi, I'm Matt, and welcome to Tech Tested. Today, we will be reviewing the most unique CPU to hit the market in the last decade. Now that's quite a bold claim to make, the most unique CPU in the market. And I'm guessing you're wondering what CPU I'm referring to. And that, I actually can't tell you. I only know what it looks like. That is this CPU. Now I picked it up online from this really obscure website called LTTstore.com. The link will be in the description if you decide you want to pick one of these up. But this is definitely a unique CPU. I'm sure you guys haven't seen one quite so big before. This actually dwarfs even a Threadripper processor. Now at first glance, $20 seems like an amazing value for a brand new CPU, but there is way more to the story than that. The first problem is there's nothing on the CPU indicating what model it actually is. We don't know how many cores it has, we don't know what frequency it's running at, and we don't even know what platform it belongs in. Now, obviously a CPU that is almost as big as my face is gonna have a hard time fitting into any more familiar sockets. I test fitted it in an AMD platform and an Intel platform, and it really didn't seem to fit in either one of those. I'm not sure what socket this is made for, but unfortunately, I just don't have a motherboard that will fit this CPU. If you guys can find what socket this is for or a motherboard compatibility list, let me know in the comments, but I think you might have a pretty tough time since I couldn't even find online what SKU this is, much less what socket it belongs in. And just in case you're wondering how this CPU compares in size to an LGA 775 processor, I'm gonna show you a little bit of B-roll right here as to just how massive this CPU actually is. Now, this is actually quite an odd material for a CPU. It does seem to have an integrated heat spreader, and it does seem to be a land grid array layout. There are no pins on the back of this CPU, but this is definitely not the hard stuff we're used to. This is very plush and soft. I'm not really sure what the seating procedure would be for a CPU like this. This CPU is made almost exclusively of polyester with a little bit of alpaca wool in it. Most CPUs are actually made out of silicon, a PCB, and an integrated heat spreader, which might be made of some material that transfers heat really well, like steel or copper. Now, I attempted to delid this CPU, and it has this really convenient zipper right here that would make you think that you could delid it, but unfortunately, the zipper doesn't go all the way around the integrated heat spreader on this CPU, and without damaging the CPU, I was not able to get the integrated heat spreader off. However, it does seem like you might be able to tuck something into the CPU. What purpose that serves, I'm not entirely sure, but it's a feature nonetheless. Now, obviously not being able to find a motherboard for this CPU, it was very difficult for me to come up with any sort of benchmarking or thermal performance or even power draw on this processor. But I'm sure that if we could find a socket for it, we could do some real benchmarking. I searched the entire LTTstore.com website for a motherboard for this CPU, and they just seem to offer the CPU with no real support. So finding a motherboard is definitely the kicker on this one. So a brand new CPU for $20. Is it a good value? Well, since I wasn't able to benchmark it as a CPU, it doesn't seem to be a great value. However, it is nice and soft, it makes a great stress ball, and it looks pretty nice on your desk. They do sell a much larger model for $60. Now that is triple the price, but you get more than triple the CPU, and it seems like it might actually make for a pretty good pillow. All in all, would I recommend you guys buy this? Probably not. It doesn't seem to serve a lot of purpose besides a good stress ball, and the bigger CPU model that they offer, while triple the price, might be triple the performance. Again, if you guys find a motherboard that's compatible with this CPU, let me know in the comments. I'll pick it up and we will run it through the ringer to see how it performs in modern day titles. As always, thanks for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Follow us on all of our social media platforms. Check out our Discord and our website so you can pick up some Tech Tested merch.